I have to keep taking a drink of water here because my voice gets a little hoarse, talking nonstop. So what other things are there to talk about? I don't want to keep going back to COVID all the time. I want to change it every so often. I touched on earlier California wildfires, and unfortunately, they're still burning hot out in California. I think I mentioned to James Green that the amount of land that's been burned is as big as our province of New Brunswick. At least I read it in one article quite some time ago. So that's a lot. That is a lot of fire. And I talked with Julia Halsney of East Bay Municipal Utilities, eBay Mud, Utilities District, eBay Mud. And she had said that from previous years, what they had done was work closer with local responders, because she, with the firefighters and everything, and they have equipment out there with water treatment. And so they have to look, and make sure all these things are safe. And some of these areas, what they did is cleared out the brush from around, their facilities and things like that, so that if there was an impact, the impact would be minimized, hopefully, fingers crossed, of course. So they were taking some proactive measures to address that. And, I did send a note to her a little while ago just to make sure, hey, how are things? Are you okay out there? They're bad. And so far, she came back, yes, everyone's stressed and, working a lot, but hopefully, and they're still okay, everyone out there. I don't know if you've seen some of the pictures, but it's it looks like something out of Apocalypse, some sort of an apocalyptic movie, from Hollywood. And the scorched hills that are just black, and the cars and the homes, people have lost a lot. And this was actually one of the situations where people were afraid to go to some of the shelters, because they didn't know, social distancing and things like that. They had troubles. They didn't want to go to that. And there were a couple of, I think there was one instance, a very sad one, and I'm hoping I remember this right, that a grandmother and her grandson were in a car trying to protect themselves from the fire. And unfortunately, the worst happened. And one of the things the reporter said is that maybe they were too afraid, either they couldn't get out from where they were, or they were too afraid to go to a shelter because of COVID-19. And I'm not sure if I'm remembering that right. I wish I wasn't remembering something like that at all, and that would never happen. But unfortunately, it did. But some people are afraid to go to the shelters because they don't want to catch COVID. It's, from one disaster to the potential of another one. You escape the fire with your life. That's great, wonderful, only to go to a shelter and catch COVID and become sick. So a lot of people are going, and luckily, as James also said, and Regina has said, and a couple of others, that hotels, which were impacted, have been greatly impacted by COVID-19. No tourists, no travelers, no nothing. That they've been opening up some of their rooms to people that are escaping the fires, which is great, and kudos to all those places that are doing that. That's community. That's really taking care of people, and we need to look at that, as a viable option going forward. Especially if COVID hangs around for a few years, and it's going to be a while before there's a vaccine where I can just walk into the pharmacy and just get a shot. That's still quite a ways away yet. The vaccine might be ready in a couple of months, but the shot for me might not be ready for quite some time. So the wildfires, they're still going on, and this was all occurring before the worst part of the wildfires season actually occurs. So it's scary to think what might be happening out in California, in the coming weeks. With any luck, fingers crossed, toes crossed, that it doesn't turn into an even worse situation than what they're already experiencing. Another see, you just can't get away from COVID, because I look at my next topic and it's schools and universities, and um, I know over the summer, what was it, in March, April, when all the schools were closed up here, they just ended the school year, and I think just about everybody around the globe now is back at school. And we're seeing now universities having to close by sending people home to work, to learn online or stay in their dorms and work online. Going to class is no longer an option. There's been a school in Toronto. I believe it reopened on Monday, but it had closed for a week because they had some cases of COVID-19 as well. And that's starting to happen in a lot of places. It happens in the UK. It's happened in more than just Toronto. A few places are now going online. And what's also starting to happen, I've seen this only because I know someone who's done this, is starting to pull their kids out of school if they went in the first place and moving them to online learning because they're too afraid of what's going on. And as they see the numbers going up in all these different schools, whether it be university, elementary, high school, or special schools, for trades and things like that, they're pulling their kids out because they don't want them to get sick, and they're a little too afraid. So I know a good friend of mine, he believes that probably in the next month, maybe by the end of October, that if things continue the way they are, then schools will end up being closed and everybody, learn online again. Because he's got 3 little girls. So he doesn't want them, being in the school if all of a sudden people are starting to test for positive for COVID. Now, what's that going to do to universities? I know the university here in Guelph is doing a lot of online learning as well. One of the key roads that I'm on, if I'm driving anywhere, goes right through the middle of the university, and it's basically a ghost town. There's usually a lot of people walking on the sidewalks, or you can see them in the football fields, and the parking lots are full. And you drive by now, and it looks like a ghost town. Yeah, there are people there, but nowhere near what you think. Not what I'm used to, and that's all because online learning is now sometimes feels like it's becoming the norm. We've got the conference, the CRT conference, the DEMCOM conference, and other ones that are all going virtual. If they haven't done already, they're going to. Online learning is all virtual, which is proving to be quite the challenge for parents because I know actually the same friend that I mentioned earlier on with his 3 girls, 2 of them are there's one, and then there's the twins. Twins were in the same grade, different classes, and they were learning different things. And he had to try, and they were getting frustrated because one sister's learning one thing and one sister's learning something else, and he's trying to teach them all rather than teach them something different, amongst themselves, and what their actual courses are. He's going, okay, well, let's learn long division, and then somebody else is saying, well, I don't even know what that is. What is that? We haven't talked about that. We haven't done this. So it's proving a challenge for the parents and the teachers. They got to give kudos to them. This is all new for them too. So no way am I pointing fingers. Just the challenge for parents. Teaching something different to all his his kids. They're all 3 kids. 2 of them are supposed to be in the same grade, and they're learning different things. So it's a challenge for him to find the time to help out. And university students are probably having the same thing, because I remember classes where you have group projects, and it's a lot easier when you're able to meet with people, and go through things, and you can't do that now. It's all online. It's a little bit different. It's, let me send you this document. Oh, here's an attachment, rather than here's a scribbly note, or just, what do you think about that, and move forward. So it's posing new challenges for everybody. And as I say, he thinks that if things continue the way they are, by the end of the month, the province of Ontario, I won't speak for anybody else, but at least the province of Ontario, or the Toronto District School Board, of which I believe they're a part of, will send everyone home, if numbers continue the way they're going. I hope not. That's going to be a challenge for everybody, but we are seeing things like that occur everywhere across Canada, well, around the world. I can't just say across Canada or US, around the world, it's happening. I talked about COVID fatigue. Holy crap. I think, I'm tired of talking about COVID, let alone, the last 8-9 months of, living it, and going through it. It's fatigue. I don't even know if that's the word. I think many of us are probably sick and tired of it. But it's something we have to deal with, and we won't get through it if we don't follow the rules and don't help ourselves get through it. You don't climb the tallest mountain by taking an escalator. You don't magically get there. It takes a lot of hard work and dedication. And if we're going to get through COVID, it's going to take hard work on everybody's part, and to be dedicated to follow what we need to do. Right? That's the only way we're going to do it. If you like that video, thumbs up. If you didn't like that video, thumbs down. But leave me a message and let me know your thoughts. Of course, don't forget to subscribe. And in the meantime, stay prepared, everybody.